I think I have a new project obsession. These little mini wallets, they're perfect for a gift card, for carrying your credit card, a couple dollars. You can hook them onto a lanyard with the D-ring, or you can put a lobster clasp and you can hook it onto your purse, carry little things around. This would be a fun way to make a functional gift bag for a gift card for the holidays, for teacher appreciation. They'd be cute little stocking stuffers. I have so many ideas of what to do with these. You can make them with your fabric scraps, so let me show you how easy these are to whip up, and maybe you too will get obsessed with them. Let's look at the supplies you need to make these cute little card holders, perfect for gift cards or credit cards. You didn't think I was going to show you my credit card, did you? This is a great project for fabric scraps, and I love to use Kam Snaps with them. So what you need are 2 pieces of fabric, one for the outside and one for the inside. I'm going to show you some tricks about using directional fabric to either be on the inside like this one, or to be on the outside so that everything is right side up. Then you'll need a piece of medium weight interfacing. And as I always say, the best interfacing or the best material is the one you have around your sewing room. I used the Pellon Easy Shaper Interfacing ES114 for this. You could use lots of different kinds. As long as it says medium weight, you will be good to go. Then adding a clip, either a clip like this or just a plain D-ring to the side is optional. But if you do want to do it, you just need 1 piece of fabric, 3 inches by 2 inches. You can either have it match the exterior or be the opposite of the exterior. And I will show you examples of how those choices vary. Then clips and or pins, your basic sewing stuff, rotary cutter, mat, rulers. I'm a huge fan of pinking shears for clipping curves. You know I love my quilter's clapper if you've watched many of my videos. You can get the free templates. The link will be in the description below this video. And I'm going to be using Kam Snaps because I love all the colors they come in and how just changing the color of the snap can change the look of your mini wallet. So let's get started. The first thing we need to do is decide which fabric we want to be the outside and the inside. Since I did this one with the sunflowers on the inside, this time we're going to do that on the outside. So this will be our lining, is we are going to put the fusible fleece onto the lining piece of fabric. The fusible side is usually a little bit shiny, or it might have some bumps depending on what product you're using. So make sure you have that down towards the wrong side of the fabric. And then you can either cut it the exact same size as this, or you can cut it a little bit smaller. So I do note that on this template. You might also notice that I did not cut the curves yet, and I will explain why in a minute. So I cut the interfacing a little bit smaller, so it's not going to be in the seam allowances, and that will be a little bit less bulk when sewing this together. You're going to follow the manufacturer's instructions, and then I always like to use a pressing cloth, which is basically a thin piece of cotton that you put over top. Then if you ever put your interfacing the wrong way, it's not going to adhere to your iron and possibly ruin your iron. It'll just stick to this pressing cloth. So we have the interfacing on our lining. I am going to put a D-ring on this bag. So you could do a D-ring, like if you're going to put it on a lanyard that has a clasp like this, you would just hook it like that. Or if you think you're going to hook it on something that has a D-ring or just a ring like on your purse, you might want to use a clasp like this. Either one, you can use the same size fabric. And I'm going to do fabric that matches the exterior. So for this one, it's opposite. And so this time I'm going to show you how it looks when you do the same. Now this is the most important part, but you want to have it this way. So the shorter end is facing you and the longer end is on the side. And then you're going to fold and press that in half. If you do it the opposite way, it's going to be too long and skinny. I did put a note on the free template where the first fold line is, because sometimes I do it this way when I'm not thinking. So I just wanted to remind everyone, you want to fold here first. Then we're going to open that up. And this is where I like to use my clapper, my piece of wood that absorbs heat and helps this stay pressed nicely. Now I'm going to fold each of the raw edges into that first fold, and I'm going to press. But make sure you keep your iron only on this side. Don't get rid of that first seam. And then I'm just going to press that with the clapper, and then I'm going to bring in the other side. And then I'm going to fold it in half again. So this is the original fold line. And this is basically making our fabric that we're going to put our hook on, and it is getting those raw edges on the inside. You're just going to sew down each side of this tab to finish that. You don't have to worry about the ends because that will be inside the mini wallet. Now we have our lining and the front. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the template and I'm going to put it on top of the lining. And instead of cutting these curves now, I'm just going to draw the curves on the corners, because you can just as easily sew from a line than from a cut edge. And this is just going to save us one extra cutting because we're going to have to clip this curve when we're done. Now you'll notice if we're using directional fabric for the lining, the print needs to be going this way. This is pretty much non-directional, so it doesn't matter. This, however, matters a lot. And the reason that this one has the flowers on the inside is because I forgot to pay attention to the direction of the fabric. But this time I'm going to do it so that this can be on the outside. So when you're looking at the free templates that you can get, it's going to show you the exterior fabric needs to be this way. It feels weird to have it upside down when you're putting it together, but this is how it's going to be right side up when you fold that wallet together. I also made a placement template, and this is more for how to fold it once it's sewn together. But just look at the directions. You're going to put your D-ring clasp, and we're going to put a regular D-ring. So you put that through and you fold it in half. And you're going to put it 4 inches up from the bottom of the fabric before it is sewn together. So I'm just going to line this up on my grid. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the bottom of the fabric is going to be here. Now, you can choose which side you want this to be on. So if you want it to be on the left, you're going to pin this on the right-hand side. And if you want it to be on the right-hand side, you're going to pin it to the left-hand side. So let's do one that's on the right-hand side because somehow I got every other one on the left. I am going to clip that. You can either just clip it, or if you want to, you can baste that on before doing the rest. But to save time, I'm just going to clip it. We're going to put these together right sides together. And make sure, if you have directional fabric, it's facing down, away from the curve for the exterior. And I like to first do 2 pins towards the middle at the top and the bottom. I just want to keep it away from the seam allowance and where my presser foot is going to be, just so it stops it from shifting. Then I just like to use clips. Clip the top and then 2 on each side. One being this one, I'm just going to take that off and add that top layer. Now we're going to take it back to the sewing machine. Moving right along, we are going to sew around the 2 long edges and the curved top with a 1/4 inch seam. We're not going to sew the bottom at all. Make sure you go forward and back at the beginning and the end. I also like to use a smaller stitch than normal, a 2.0 to 2.2. That is going to help the curves be more rounded than if you use a longer stitch length. And then just sew slowly on the curve and try and move it as much as you can. If you're getting off of the 1/4 inch, you can always raise your presser foot and pivot it a little bit. Now that we have sewn along the 2 sides and the curve, I'm going to take these pins out. And then you need to clip the curves. Now, if you have pinking shears, and I highly recommend you get pinking shears because it's a lot faster, you can just cut right along the edge, close to the stitching, but make sure you don't cut any of the stitching. If you don't have pinking shears, you can do it with regular scissors, and I would recommend small ones. And then you're just going to do little snips along that edge. And then I would also make it cut it a little bit closer. Because basically what you're doing is you're giving the fabric a little bit of give so that when you turn it right side out, it can do that curve nicely. And when I'm using pinking shears, I always work over top of a trash can because it makes a bunch of fuzz that I don't feel like cleaning up. So that is clipped. Now I'm going to turn this right side out. Now, sometimes you'll see tutorials where people will say to just leave 2 to 3 inches of this bottom open. But when I am doing projects that have a pretty small opening like this, I just leave the whole bottom open because it makes it easier to turn and get this edge out. And I feel like I get a more consistent and straight edge when I turn the whole thing. So I've done this with my fingers first, and then I'm going to take this turning tool and I'm just going to very gently run it along the curve. You don't want it to push through and rip your stitching. Now we're going to get our ironing board back. So you want to have whichever side is going to be the exterior up when you do your pressing, so that if you want to get it as perfect as possible so that you're not seeing the other fabric on either side. But if you're seeing a teeny tiny bit on one side versus the other, you want it to show on the lining side rather than the exterior side. So just take your time and kind of push with your fingers to get this out, and then you're just going to press so that this is nice and flat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up and I'm going to start on the seam section. I'm going to fold each seam down 1/4 inch. And once you get that folded down, the rest pretty much falls in place. And if it ends up being a teeny bit more than 1/4 inch, that's totally fine. Just going to press that. Do that to get it nice and pressed. Now we want to sew close to the edge to close this opening. And that is going to be the top of our pocket. Because this is getting a little bit thick and we want to start really close to the end, sometimes your sewing machine has a hard time getting going. So what I use is called a leader fabric. So this is basically just folded over a few layers of fabric. So I'm going to put it right behind. I'm going to bump it up like that. I'm going to have it moved over from my wallet so that it is going to totally cover those feed dogs. This is going to help your sewing machine catch and move this fabric more easily. Then I am also going to do the old pull up the bobbin thread trick, where I put the needle down while holding this thread, pull it to grab that bobbin thread, put them both under, and then I'm going to knot. My machine has an automatic knotter. If yours doesn't, you're just going to go forward a few stitches and then back while holding that thread. That is going to make it so you don't get a bird's nest in your sewing. Then we're just going to sew straight across and then either knot or go back and forth to catch your threads. Moving right along, now it is time to fold your wallet. Now I want to show you how this directional fabric is going to work. So we wanted this to be on the outside, and you'll notice it looks upside down now. But when we turn it over and have the lining side up and we fold this up, and then we fold this down, everything is going to be right side up. It will be upside down on the back, but it's going to be right side up on the front. You're going to mark about 2 3/4 inches up the side. Then I'm going to place my ruler here and I'm going to fold this up. Because I didn't do that totally straight, it's going to be fine. You just want to make sure that these edges are lined up perfectly. Now we are just going to press this bottom part. And now back to the sewing machine. I don't know what is wrong with me today. I keep forgetting to hit record. I think I do, but I don't. So let me just tell you what I did. We're sewing the pocket up. We're going to start on one end and then sew all the way around the curve and down, doubling back where the pocket overlaps for added security. And just sew slowly on these corners so that you get a nice curve. So you'll see that stitched all the way around the loop. So up the side, down the other side. Now we're going to fold that flap down and I'm just going to press top. And then it is going to be time to add our snap. So as I mentioned, I love these Kam Snaps. They're a family-owned business, so I like supporting that. And they come in lots of colors. And this is just the standard number 20. I got like a variety pack, so I have different colors to choose from. So let's take a look at our options. We could do brown, that kind of pulls from the sunflower color and gives a real fall feel. Or the gold, also pretty with the sunflower. Not a huge fan of that green. It's way too bright with the fabric, so we're going to say no to that. And then the other option that could be cute would be white. No, not in love with that either. I think I'm going to go with brown. Once you pick your color, you need 2 that are the pointy part. That's the outside. And then you need 1 male and 1 female piece. The male piece sticks out, the female piece goes in. Stop giggling. We're going to put the male piece here on the inside of the flap. So to get our placement correct, we're going to fold it in half. Make sure it's lined up down here as well as up here. Just kind of finger press that so you can see where that is. If you want to measure, you can. You want to go down about 1/2 inch. And then you're going to use the awl that comes with the set and make the hole in your fabric. Then you're going to push the pin through, push that fabric down, and then you're going to put the male side on there, and then put it in the tool and squeeze. To figure out exactly where the female section goes so that it snaps well, you're going to fold this down and you're going to press on that snap. That is going to make a slight indent of the male portion, this slight indented circle. And you're going to take the awl and you're going to push through the center. Make sure you're only going through this layer and not the whole wallet. Then the button side goes on the inside of your wallet, pokes through, and then you're going to put the female side. Now when you're doing this, make sure you get that flat part seated really evenly in the black. And this is pretty evenly under the white part. And then you're just going to squeeze. And now we have our snap. So let's look at a few that I have made. I absolutely love these. These could be great stocking stuffers, a great little extra for teachers, put a little gift card or a little note in there. And as you see, you can put the hooks or the D-rings on the left or the right. And these are all made with my honeybees and flowers please fabric from Riley Blake Designs. You can see how choosing a different snap color makes a difference to how it looks. Also using the opposite, like using the lining fabric for the tab versus having the tab match, gives a little bit of a different look. So even though these are super simple and are basically made with 3 pieces of fabric, there's lots of ways to customize them to look however you want. I hope you love this idea. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more tutorials, and also be sure to check out my membership where you can get lots of tutorials like this with no ads at all. So go to sewwithtarareed.com if you want more information about that.